Welcome to What If We Can Change It All, the podcast.
A podcast created by Movement.medicine.
My name is Shadisa.
And my name is Janina.
We believe that we have the power and therefore we can change it all.
This podcast is all about reclaiming your power. Hello, beautiful people. And welcome to this new episode. As you can see, it is just me today. And I have a little news to share, to be honest. So if you are in the Movement Medicine energy or are in our mailing list or follow us on Instagram, you probably know. But for our only podcast listeners, I just want to share a little something. So my sister has decided to go on a different journey. So that means that I am taking over the business, which is all very new, but also very exciting at the same time. So I'm really trying to figure out my way of running the business and see how I would like to run things. So that also means that there might be a few changes in terms of the podcast. Yeah, that being said, I'm actually really excited about this journey. I took some time to really reflect on everything and let everything sink in and just to see how I actually want to do things, but also how can I actually make everything that I do more me, which is an exciting journey. But also a scary journey at the same time, of course, because everything is new, right? We started this business. We started Movement.medicine 2 years ago together. And this podcast only came recently. So it is just about discovering, rediscovering, seeing what feels aligned, what doesn't feel aligned, if that makes sense. Yeah. I still need to change the intro, I have to say. I have been sick for the past week. So I've been doing nothing else than just laying in my bed. And I am going to change the intro and re-record that after my voice is a bit better. Because I wanted to do it with a good and healthy voice, without my very having a cold, nose blocked voice. I do have to say it is better. It was way worse. But that being said, today I actually want to talk about something because I posted a post recently and I never in my life received so many DMs about it. And in a positive way, I have to say as well. So I posted a post and it started, it was a visual and it started, let me grab it. It started with "this might trigger you." And then the first slide was, "You can be spiritual and make mistakes. You can be spiritual and have an occasional pity party. You can be spiritual and make money. You can be spiritual and have that big, fat, greasy, juicy burger. You can be spiritual and fuck up. You can be spiritual and have a drink." And the last slide was about allowing the humanness to be there. There's no standard that you need to measure up to. Do things your way and it will be the right way. And I really want to tap into this because I received so many messages of people who were so happy that I shared this. And that really made me realize how good we actually are in sometimes keeping each other small or stepping away from our authentic self, right? So where am I going with this is that there's no standard in spirituality that you need to level up to. There's no shoulds also. There's no rules. There's no things you can't do. That being said, everything that is too much is not good for you, is not healthy, right? But I think it is really important to say, and I also see this in my own environment, is that nowadays we we labeled spiritual as something, or like doing practices as something that is good, and which is good, and we have to eliminate things from our lives, which is sometimes also true. But it doesn't mean that you can't have that burger. It doesn't mean that you can't have that glass of wine. It doesn't mean that you can just feel sorry for yourself. It doesn't mean that you can just suppress your emotions. And where am I going with this is that we are always a human first. And that is actually something that I really want to tap into, because if there's no humanness, like, how are we then being spiritual livings? How are we then like living from a place of consciousness? How are we then like close to our authentic selves, right? If we're doing things because we think it should be done this way, or like this is the best way to do it, then it isn't fully us. And if it's not fully us, it also isn't aligned. And if it's not aligned, you're also not living the spiritual way you want to live. Let me just take a sip. And for me personally, it was really important to tap into, because I got so many messages of people who found it absolutely amazing and were so happy that I was so honest. And one thing about me is that I will always keep it real. I will always tell the truth about things that are bothering me, or things that I'm seeing, or things that I'm disagreeing with. That's just the person who I am. I love to speak my truth, and that's the most important thing, because it is my truth. That doesn't mean that it also has to be your truth, right? So if you stop drinking alcohol because of your own reasons, please do so. If you stopped eating meat because of your own reasons, please do so. Like, I'm not telling you that you're doing it wrong. I'm not telling you that you should eat a burger from time to time. That's not what I'm saying at all. What I am saying is that have a check-in with yourself. Am I actually doing it for me? Or am I doing it to like reach a certain standard? Because there's also no being better or being more spiritual, or like doing it better than someone else, right? It is just the way you want to live. It's the way that feels true to you. And I think for me, this is a really important topic to think about, because when we judge other people, that what they're doing, or they're doing certain things, or they're having a drink, or like whatever it is, you're also judging yourself. And if we start to compare ourselves with other people as well, like, you're also comparing yourself and like judging yourself at the same time, right? And then it actually steps away from like living in your full potential, but it also steps away from like reclaiming your power. And that is something that's really important to me, because as soon as we try to live at a certain standard, or like at a certain norm, we're not doing it for us anymore. And the most important thing in life is that you're living for yourself. But if you're trying to follow all these rules that you think you should do, then you're not living for yourself. You're also not living for a specific person. Maybe it's a specific, I don't know, group of people, or whatever it is. But the most beautiful thing is that you can always be true to yourself and your own beliefs. Because your beliefs are your beliefs, right? They're not someone else's beliefs. And if you try to live through someone else's beliefs, you're not truly living within yourself. And you should always live for yourself first. That as well. So the interesting thing is, like, as soon as we start to compare, it is actually energy draining. And you might actually eliminate certain things in your life because they are energy drainers, right? So for example, like, I'm not saying eat a burger every day, eat like meat every day. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying like drink as much as you can. That's not what I'm saying at all. But what I am saying is that you're still human first, and allow that humanness to be there. Allow you to be there. Because the interesting thing is, like, comparison is the thief of all joy. And we don't want that. We love joy. We should have joy. So the interesting thing also is that there's no doing life wrong. There's no doing spirituality wrong. There's no Like, you know what I mean? And if I look at myself and my own journey, like, I'm not perfect and I never tried to be perfect. I try to be the best version of myself, and sometimes I do fuck up. Sometimes I do make mistakes. Sometimes I do hurt people. Sometimes I do hurt myself, or am like the biggest bully to myself. But that also makes me human. And that is the point exactly that I want to tap into today. Because we don't have to be perfect. We don't have to want to achieve that as well. And if I look at my own journey, like from some time, I also tried that. And I also came to the conclusion very fast that it was very unhealthy for me. So for example, if I take the meat topic, like, I don't eat a lot of meat, but I do eat meat, and I eat meat when I feel like my body is craving it. For example, or like, I do it when it feels like my body needs it, because sometimes your body just needs something. Sometimes your body just needs an egg, or like whatever it is, right? So I'm trying to live to what my body actually wants and desires, and it doesn't mean that that is the right way, but that is my way, and that is the way that it works for me. Like, I tried a lot of different things, and a lot of different things didn't work for me. It gave me way less energy than I actually needed, especially because I am also a dancer, so I move my body a lot, right? So my body just needs a lot of certain things. And I came to the conclusion that is sometimes some things are just not for me, or like not for my lifestyle. And if it comes to like emotions, like, emotions are like my favorite topic to talk about. It is my zone of genius. It is my expertise as well. But sometimes I do suppress my emotions, or sometimes I do handle with my emotions. So I become more angry and I say hurtful things. But that also still makes me human, because afterwards I can have a conversation with myself and say, I was kind of being an asshole there. And that's okay too, because then I get to say sorry, or then I get to like make amends to someone, right? It also makes life interesting, right? If we're trying to live like through like certain rules, or like certain things that we should do, it is also quite boring for ourselves. That's a first. And second of all, it is also pretty exhausting. It takes a lot of energy. So for example, let's say that one thing that I actually sometimes really struggle with is that sometimes I do have like negative thoughts about myself, right? And I'm just bashing on my self-esteem. I think everyone has that. It's also very human. It's also very normal. Everyone has that as well. And I will never pretend that I always am like the sweetest person to myself. I will never say that I am. I will never tell you how great I'm doing if I'm not doing great. But I will also never lie to myself. And I think that's the most important thing that I want to tap into, because what you're doing is that you're actually lying to yourself, right? Because you're not living the way you actually want to live. And I think for me, that's really where it hits home, right? Because if we're not living the way we want to live, what's the point then? Because again, we're only living for ourselves. We should only live for ourselves. And everything and everyone we meet or like get to interact with is an amazing bonus, and is absolutely transformating. Transformating, is that a word? I don't know, but you know what I mean. So for example, I actually put off making this recording today for a really long time. I think it's like for 2 months already. And not because of the topic, because I only thought about this topic yesterday. I'm going to talk about that as well. But more so because, of course, I always did it with my sister, right? So it was also something new, and something new often is also a bit scary. So it felt weird to just sit here with my microphone in front of the camera and just talk for 30 minutes and no one is actually interacting with me. Like, it's different when I teach, because then I actually see the people that I'm teaching for, right? But now it's just me looking in the mirror and talking to myself. So I really put it off for a long time. And that was because there was some fear there. There was some resistance there as well. And I just needed to be with that. I didn't want to rush myself. I didn't want to rush myself. I didn't want to force myself to do things where I'm not ready for. But I also want to be open and transparent with you guys about that, right? And I think that's also something that happens a lot on social media, because you see all these perfect lives and like all these amazing coaches who are really good in what they do. And they might really live from that place of, yes, I want to eliminate all those things and I am living the perfect life. And if they're doing that, that's amazing. But it doesn't mean that that is your way of living. It's just an example, but it doesn't mean that it's your way of living. So what is your way of living? What's the way you actually want to live, and a way that actually lifts you up, right? Like the way I'm living now, I am actually letting myself up. I am loving my life right now. I am doing what's good for me. I'm doing what's best for me. And sometimes I do things that are not so good for me, but then I get to learn from them. And I also love that I get to learn from them. Not always in that moment, I have to say. Like, let me be very honest, not always in that moment. But after a few weeks or a few days or a few months or sometimes a few years, I'm like, oh yeah, it's good that I fucked up there, because I got this instead. And like, why I wanted to talk about this topic is that yesterday I received a message from someone who is in the movement medicine energy for a really long time. I think it's almost 2 years. And she said, gee, like that post you made, like it was so powerful. And then like I forgot about that post already. And then I was like, I think I really should tap into this. I think I should maybe make a podcast about it. And then I woke up, I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to record my first solo podcast. So that was just what I needed to do it, to actually do it and to start doing it, right? But at the same time, it also gives me like room and space to think about things, to reflect about things, and also see, okay, but we used to always release one episode every week. Now I am not doing that. People are gonna have an opinion about that because there are people counting. I need to release all of that. I need to release like the perfect podcaster. I needed to release that in order to actually give you guys good quality. For me, it's quality first and then quantity. So if you haven't seen the post, I would actually recommend you to look at the post as well. And if there's someone in your environment that actually needs to hear it, share it with them. Because we don't have to set all those rules for ourselves. There are a lot of rules in society. It doesn't matter where you live in the world, right? There are a lot of rules, set rules that you have to follow or like could follow or whatever. So I make it even harder on yourself. And again, if you do want to eliminate things out of your life, please do it. I honestly applaud you. Like, good job, good on you. You have your reasons for it. Like, do it. Like, I am here for it. I will cheer you on as your biggest cheerleader as well, right? But just make sure it is for you and not to please someone else or like a group of people. That's not what I want for you. Yeah. Let's see, is there something else that I want to share about this? Yeah, I guess what I also want to share is like, I would love if people stay in conversation with each other about those things and about these things. So if you're listening to it and you disagree, please send me a message. I'm more than open to it. Like, we all know the effects that like a lot of meat or a lot of alcohol, or like even a little alcohol, or like suppressing your emotions, or like spiraling, we all know the effects that those things can do to you, right? So we all know like it isn't always the healthiest option. But then again, once in a while you can totally give that to yourself, or like once a month, or like how often you want to do it. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to perfect life. You don't have to want to perfect life. You would not have to do that. Just live the life you want to live, just for you and you only. And then you will attract the right people and circumstances also to create that beautiful life with, which is the more exciting thing to do. So I would say just play around with it. Just see, okay, like if you want to try to go vegan for a month and just try it out, do it. If you love it, keep doing it. But just try out what actually works for you and what doesn't work for you. I tried a lot of things out, I have to say. I really did. I tried a lot of things out, and I found ways for myself that are most healthy for my body, and I feel good about, I feel comfortable about. Sometimes I think when I have dinner with friends, I think, okay, Janine, 2 glasses of wine was more than enough for you. You shouldn't have a third one or fourth one. But I can also say that to myself, right? And it gets to be fun that way. You get to like create your own personal recipe of how you want to live life. Not about how to live life. No, it's how you want to live life. Because everything is a want, and when it's a want, it becomes something fun again. I want you to have fun with life. I want you to have fun with spirituality as well. So you can be spiritual and fuck up and play around. And often it gives you like beautiful things, which is also good and amazing. That being said, I actually have another example which is really good for you guys. So do you guys remember when I recorded my health story podcast together with my sister? I think it was, I don't know when it was, but it's like an episode like right in the beginning or like in the middle, I don't know. So I recorded that, right? And I was talking about like everything that I went through and all the lessons and all the things that I actually did wrong, and how I did not listen to my body in that way, right? But also all the beautiful lessons that it gave me and how it made me stronger, but also how it made me more aware of my body and more aware on how I actually want to treat my body and treat myself and treat my subconscious mind. And it really deepened the relationship that I have with myself now. Like, I love myself more than ever. I really do. I celebrate myself more than ever. And the interesting thing is, like, although the story was kind of hard and like everything that I went through was really hard, but because I was able to actually create that podcast and share my story in that way that felt truth to me and felt good to me, I actually got amazing opportunities coming my way. Like, for example, like a good old friend of mine, she was busy with like a new energy healing technique, and she said that she really wanted to offer like a session with me for free, which was amazing. But recently also someone listened to it who actually went through like a similar thing, so she had similar sensations as well. And we started to work on like a little documentary about it, which is amazing, right? So what I want to say is that sometimes you get to make mistakes, and you get to play with those mistakes. And actually there are not really mistakes as well. You may see them and perceive them as mistakes, but actually there are choices, and everything that comes from a choice is the right one. As long as you choose it, is always the right decision for you. Yeah. That being said, I am starting this new journey of being a solopreneur. And I actually posted something in my Instagram stories as well about I actually want to do like a free online masterclass again soon. And I let my followers vote on which topic they wanted me to tap into. And one was forgiveness, one was self-love, and one was emotions. And what I actually absolutely loved is that the percentages were all angel numbers. So like forgiveness had like, I think it was like 55. No, it was 44%. Emotions was 33, and self-love was 22. I absolutely love that. But long story short, forgiveness won. So that means there is going to be an online masterclass about forgiveness very, very, very soon, which is very exciting because it's my first one hosting alone. And forgiveness is actually a topic that I really went deep into and really prioritized for like 2 years, which was also connected to my health, of course. But I really want to tap into that with you guys. So if you feel the call to actually join that, it is not, I don't have a date yet. I still need to figure out when I want to do it and like create everything and officially launch it. But if you think, okay, I really, 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 really want to join that, I would suggest you join my newsletter. So you will get a email as soon as the online masterclass is launched and you can sign up. If you don't like mailing list, I also get that. I would say follow me on Instagram because I announce everything there as well. So you get to see when I announce it, when the visual is done and ready. And you get to see the post as well. Yeah, I already have a name in mind. It came to me in a dream, which I love when I can remember the dream. So I woke up and I was like, oh, I need to write it down. Yeah, so I would say do that. I really want to thank you for having this first episode with me. I am still a bit sick, I can feel, because my brain is like going from right to left to up to down. So it's really hard for me to concentrate. So I think I'm gonna stop here because I did like multiple topics in one episode as well. So I think it's time for me to go back to bed and just do naps all day. But thank you so, so, so much for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Also tell your friends to tell their friends. And yeah, I will be back very, very soon. I recorded some amazing podcast episodes with guests already. So I'm excited for you to listen to them as well. And have an amazing day, morning, evening, whenever you're listening it. And you will see me and hear me soon. Bye bye.